Mira Business FM.
It's the morning drive here on Mira Business FM. My name is Tim Elliott. It is mirabusiness.fm on the website. You can watch us, listen to us there, also on YouTube and Twitch. And if you're on socials, you'll find us across LinkedIn, across Facebook, on Instagram. X is where you'll get the news. And to contact us, very simple. We'd love to hear from you. You can WhatsApp.mira.fm. Type that in. You will find us. Send us messages. Let us know what you think. Now, we've been talking real estate this morning. Also, hydration as well. The business of hydration, too. And testing some of the products on air as well to some success. We're going to talk business continuity next at about 11 minutes past 7, Greenwich Mean Time, London time. Amazon's cloud service experienced a major outage on Monday. So what that meant was that some of its systems stopped working, disrupted lots of popular apps and websites, banks, gaming platforms, entertainment services, and much, much more. Why did it happen? What does it mean? What can we do about it? Muzammil Sheikh is here. He is our I guess Mira Business FM's technical guru. That's how I'm going to term him. I'm going to stick to that. Muzammil, nice to see you.
Hello.
First of all, what actually happened here? What stopped working on Monday and what was the cause? I mean, it was a big deal. And if you take one of the this is the BBC headline yesterday after the event as things got back online, but it's a fairly dramatic headline. Why has it made the internet fall apart? Because it's kind of how it felt at the time.
It did feel that, and I was just having a look at how many companies were affected in the UAE, and thankfully the list was not that long, or at least not reported to be long. That's the difference. I believe there was a bank that was affected, and of course Perplexity was affected, the AI competitor to ChatGPT and Grok and all that. What happened was that technically what happened was that there was an internal monitoring tool which many companies use, including, and they have a bunch of them. Okay. And that was the root cause of the issue, which was misreporting to their DNS that the DynamoDB was down, which was not the case actually. It was not down, but the tool was misreporting that information, which caused a cascade issue among other services where in the gist of it, there are many companies using APIs to talk to Amazon, and there is a retry queue that happens. And then what ended up happening was there was a build-up. So they keep retrying to contact the database.
What's an API? Sorry, just to backtrack slightly.
API is an application programming interface where you can set up your app to talk to another app.
Okay.
So the apps are talking to each other.
Right.
And they can be complex or they can be simple. And they have it's a simple thing like when you knock on a door, you will say, okay, there's no one there. You will knock again. So it has an API can be, okay, I'm going to keep trying, but usually people set it to like 5 times or 10 times. And imagine the zone that was affected is the East Zone, the Virginia zone, and usually the entire zone doesn't go down, but the entire zone went down because of the tool and because of the DNS update. It's never happened because every time you see that there will be a new issue and they'll fix it, and next time it'll be a different issue. I mean, usually that's how it works.
Okay.
And what ended up happening was that they fixed that issue apparently in 2 hours, as their official reports say. But it took many hours, up to 24 hours, for the clients to be fixed, and some were fixed sooner, some were later. And this emphasizes a big thing where our reliance on cloud platforms is some of the companies are basically crippled in some ways, or part of them. Checkouts were not working, carts were not working, because not Amazon, AWS, not everyone uses them as a whole. Some people have a hybrid cloud strategy where they only use portions of it. So this is effectively what happened, that the basic thing is that in those times, you can't do anything but wait for Amazon to fix it, which they did, by the way, which they did quickly. And the interesting thing is I was checking about their service level agreement, which is when your services go down, how much does Amazon pay you? And if you look at the numbers, the example given was that, let's say, because their billing is very precise, like they don't bill you for the whole lot. It's a per service billing structure, very microservices. So let's say you were using the DynamoDB and your yearly bill was yearly bill was like say $50,000, for example.
DynamoDB is the database
Right.
service.
Because it
Okay.
was not down, but it was not reachable effectively.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was not reachable.
So you're knocking on the door, nobody was there.
Nobody was there
In
because
theory.
the tool reported like, okay, I'm seeing an issue. It messed up the DNS, which does the handling of the queries that are front. And there are deeper technical things, and I'm not going to pretend that I know them because there are DynamoDB experts and there are AWS experts who will
Sure.
say exactly what's going on. But like I said, that from an engineering perspective, let's say you're planning something and you're setting up a business, the decision that's made is a business decision that, am I making enough money to pay for the redundancy?
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
So
Yep,
like
yep.
people have a fire, they say, okay, if I lose everything in the fire, fine. How much is the insurance? Let it burn, like that kind of thing effectively. So that's the logic behind any business decision and there have been the same thing with cybersecurity, where there's theft happening, right? Sony was hacked long time ago. And the estimation done was that to harden their systems, it would have cost them more than the hack. So here, if it's a small business, they will say, why would I want to do a additional availability zone, or why would I pay another $1 million or something, whatever, to have that kind of situation?
Okay, so the decision is it whether it's worthwhile or not? I guess is what you're saying. Let me just run through. I looked up some of the technical details, and I think this is reasonably easy to understand because I'm getting it, so I guess most people will. But DynamoDB is the database service. It's used by thousands of apps, and what happened was the DNS, which is the domain numbering
domain name system, yeah,
domain name system, suddenly couldn't be reached. So if the DNS is it's like a contact list of the internet, really, then this was a case of missing every number at once. So apps couldn't find databases, websites couldn't reach login systems, smart home devices couldn't even phone, Alexas, I think some Alexas stopped working, etc. I mean, on the face of it, kind of mundane, really. I mean, it's not the most interesting thing. It's kind of quite hard to understand, but it creates such a big deal, Ms. Emil.
Well, it's Amazon, and and I'm sure a lot of outages are happening other places, and they're not reported because the key systems were down, and the U.S. media is good at capturing and sharing these information that they're pretty good about it. So, but like I said, like I'm sure services were affected worldwide. By the way, funny thing is even European services were affected because they were relying on the U.S. Services.
That's right. And this is a data center I think it was somewhere like Virginia or something.
So this is their biggest one.
Yeah.
It handles billions of queries per second, apparently, or I don't know, minute.
Yeah.
And it is one of the oldest zones. The way it works is that a zone has a bunch of data centers, which are called availability zones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. They have a bunch of them. It's the highest concentration. And here, having a bunch of availability zones didn't make a difference because a software tool caused the issue effectively, right? The monitoring tool. And you can have all the redundancies in the world. Let's say if you can't find the door, then your software has failed, right? Effectively, you can't find the fire exit in some ways, just to simplify it.
Well, this I mean, I take your point. The thing with this though was that there was so much disruption and it caused so much consternation. AWS is the biggest cloud service provider in the world. I think it's something like a 30% market share. So if they go down, so do lots of others. So in this case, and this is just a few, OpenAI, ESPN, Apple Music, Apple TV were affected. Snapchat, Pinterest had issues.
Parts of Emirates apparently. Not sure how
Yeah.
much. Emirates was affected per the news. I don't know. I mean, they haven't officially said anything because Emirates is it's a giant. So they are probably they have a hybrid cloud strategy. It would be very foolish for them to just rely on one.
Yeah,
provider.
it's that range though, isn't it? It's not just AWS, it's not just Amazon. It's the fact that thousands of companies use AWS for storage or for web hosting or for, I suppose, for databases.
Right.
So those companies include lots of major apps that rely on AWS to run key parts of their systems. And the issue with this is, and you were pointing to this just now, is that once it hits, it tends to snowball, doesn't it?
Right. The queries kept on coming, and then it took a while for them to stabilize because then when they fixed the issue, basically they were being flooded with queries. So it was like a DDoS attack. You shouldn't call it that, but it's like in some ways, which is like a question. They're just sending like they're just knocking on the door. So
There are parallels with it. I mean, we
Right.
should say obviously
Yes.
it wasn't an attack,
Yes.
but
No.
there are parallels with the way DDoS attacks work, in that it's just a barrage of
Right.
basically messages, knocks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's the reason why it took for the whole thing to settle down, even though apparently the engineers had fixed it in a couple of hours. They are claiming, like I said, 2 hours. So the actual downtime. So this is the interesting, we are business FM here, right? So this is the business portion of it. How do you charge SLA on it, right? The service level agreement. Amazon is going to say, oh, it was down for just 2 hours. So from the $50,000 example I gave per year, we will pay you $5,000 in rebates in services credit, by the way. They don't give you cashback.
Right.
They give you, so how interesting, right? You're still stuck with Amazon. They're just giving you a discount. Basically, it's like, what exactly is the cost? But your business cost might have been much higher, but they will only give you this much per the agreement. So these are the numbers we need to understand, that this is how the cloud providers always win. That where do you go? Okay, oh yeah, more redundancy, pay more to Amazon, or we give you a discount effectively, right? So this is why I don't like giving away your data sovereignty, and platform sovereignty effectively, like creating jobs locally, having the systems in-house if you can. If you're growing, I mean, if you're a startup, I think it makes sense. But again, it's you're moving the cost structure from in-house to outsource, and then you have to understand the billing structure of Amazon, which if you even leave some logging services on, your bill might run up to thousands of dollars. You don't know, so you have to be very careful with cloud services.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, in this case, AWS acknowledged the outage. They said their engineers were, I think the term was, immediately engaged to fix the problem. They then said they worked on multiple parallel paths to accelerate recovery. So I'm wondering, first of all, what that means, if you can read between the lines there. But they did deal with it. But how do you get things back up and running?
Well, if you think about it from an engineering planning perspective, if they are giving you a parallel path, were they giving you a different availability zone? Was that part of the contract? Were they rerouting the queries coming in from the source apps? By the way, you cannot expect a response from the clients that much, right?
Yeah.
You can't expect them to rewrite their app to, hey, don't go there, go somewhere else. Like, don't ask the question on this zone, ask it over here. So they should be at that time, probably, as I don't know. I mean, like I said, they did not provide too many details apparently, that what was the nature of the mitigation action done in the moment. So were the queries just rerouted somewhere else after they did the fix, or was it like the same, or was it, if not even possible for the clients to change that because it's coded in a certain way that has to go there, and then again, like I said, if it has to go there, then it has to be rerouted from the Amazon side of things. So these are the details which we will never know unless a client is very big and it's affected in a very large way.
Okay. I mean, this happens, I guess, probably more than we know. There are always problems in any business, and very often you're able to, I suppose, cover or recover fairly quickly. I just wanted to run through some of the things we've seen in the last kind of 12 months, 18 months. Microsoft Teams went down January last year for about 7 hours. There was a Meta outage in March, couple of hours. Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, Threads were all inaccessible. Google.com went down, remember, on May the 1st. And that was huge news. It was HTTP 502 error messages instead of search results. There was a lot of surprise at that. We still don't really have an explanation of that. In July, the largest outage we've seen yet was the CrowdStrike software glitch. That led to that flight cancellation. There were issues with hospital computing systems. That was a bug, apparently. AT&T went down several times last year. There was an 11-hour meltdown in the US, so lots of people, particularly gig workers, the gig economy workers, were prevented from doing their jobs. The point is, it happens fairly regularly. And if things like this happen fairly regularly, we rely on the internet for our business. Therefore, there is a cost to business that has to be borne somewhere. The problem I have is how you quantify that cost to business. And I wonder if you can do a better job. I'm sure you can do a better job than I can of the cost of Monday's outage to business. Can you even put that in real terms?
It's very complicated. In some ways, that meaning that what is your business and what time of day it happened and what was the nature. Were there like any? First of all, even if let's say damage did happen, financial damage did occur, and reputation damage did occur, how do you prove it to Amazon? Right? Okay, yes, this happened, and this service. Okay, yes, it was down for a while. Then these customers were trying to buy, because then you have to send logs from your side. Like these customers were trying to buy some products and they couldn't check out.
Yeah.
Some reason.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Amazon will be flexible in those cases. They're not going to make a fuss of it. But if on this scale, they will be probably trying to. They will not just blindly accept whatever you tell them.
No, for
It's
sure.
a very specific case.
And I guess it's fair to sort of say that Amazon are a company that can probably handle financially something like this better than many others. But it's, again, how do you quantify that cost? I mentioned Amazon Web Services, AWS, has something like 30% of the cloud market. So how damaging is an outage like this, do you think? The thing that you have to remember, I think, is it's not like users are going to suddenly jump ship. That's a whole world of pain. Their businesses are deeply ingrained with the system they use. But is it a damaging outage, do you think?
It could have been, meaning like if the business was not using them for, let's say, payments or something, and then there were people not buying services. But if the websites were down or some ancillary products were down, it would not be that bad. Again, it's very it depends on the customer. Some customers are fine with it. Okay, oh, it's not working, I'll try later. Could be something as simple as that. And if it happened in the daytime, people were at work, they were doing other things, they didn't. Okay, yeah, it's a nice news item to talk about, and okay, but for the business, they might have been panicking, or they might be worried about the aftershocks. Like I said, it's very case by case basis. Which business was affected? How much was it affected? And did someone get upset and like, oh no, I need to get this done or buy this thing, and I have to get it immediately? And most things are not that urgent in life anyway. So
yeah, I guess so. But I mean, there are going to be companies, aren't there? And you brought this up yesterday, and I thought this was a really good point. We were just sat kind of chatting about this. But if you're a fintech service, there's potentially a very real cost here. If you were, and your example was in the middle of a trade, for example, or a sale, and it went down at that point, potentially serious financial consequences. I also said to you, well, if you're a media organization, or a communication app, Snapchat was affected in this case, but you know what I mean. If you're in the middle of a conversation that is relevant in some way in your life, and it has an effect on your financial circumstances, it's possible that could happen. Or in the media, New York Times was down. People can't view the content. They paid for the subscription for that. These things build, and it's why you're in business. And if you can't do business, if you can't display your content, if you can't provide the service you say you do, it's not just reputationally that's bad. It's just bad for business.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely. I mean, the example, the fintech example, I believe Robinhood, they said, was affected, and Robinhood is not just a small company. It has stock market access, and they have MiCA licenses and European licenses as well, and they also do Bitcoin crypto, and Bitcoin crypto markets trade 24/7. Effectively, right? Yeah. Not like the stock market. Let's say you can say, oh, at that time the European market or US market was not open. It wouldn't have mattered too much anyway. That kind of examples can be said. But if people want to set their orders, and the point is that if you, like I said, I did a talk, remember, about losing access to something. This is the access portion of it in some ways. Yeah. That you lose access to the tool, and you wanted to buy something or you want to sell something, or even if you didn't, wanted to set an order, you just remembered something, and you're setting up a strategy to setting up buy orders, limit orders for at these prices, buy and sell, not immediately, but at certain prices will be hit. So you will lose that that opportunity to do that in the moment. Maybe you had an inspirational thought, whatever, which might cost you a lot at some point. And I don't know how much Robinhood, I have to check if how much they were affected and what we'll do about it. And your example about the media, probably they should give a rebate out, because it's because like you said, if someone wants to check the news, or they're relying on that to report the news or do analysis on it, for whatever reason, they are losing out in that moment, and they should also get a refund.
It's hard to pin down actual cases, but those are just a few things that we were kind of mulling over yesterday. We've got a minute left. One thing that this does highlight, and all the outages that we've mentioned this morning highlight, is how much we rely on the internet. It's a reminder of just how fragile the kind of the backbone of the internet can be, and how the interrelatedness of the internet is, and I guess how much we all kind of live online now.
It is. But as a business, if you're starting out, try to minimize your cloud exposure if you can. If you have the resources, planning-wise, if you're setting up with a consultant or whatever, that's first thing you can do. You can have email is fine in the cloud, but other things, more important critical systems, if you can do the cost analysis of the system and see, okay, what is because it's service cost, right? Cloud is a service cost. Okay, it's costing me this much. I'm losing my freedom, and I'm basically losing control. If I have it in-house, I'm creating jobs in the market. I'm hiring local engineers to do that. I'm hiring local staff to do that. That's a big difference. I'm always a fan of, the circular economy bit, that you have to just be, have the business there. Even local data centers can come up then. Why does it have to be so concentrated with big tech? It doesn't need to be. There are choices available all the time. Many tools, free tools, open source tools. There's a bit of a learning curve, but that's it. I mean, anything good in life requires some effort.
It's a fascinating topic. It really is. Business continuity is kind of the overall phrase, but just something as simple as a server going down. I know it was AWS. It's a huge server, as far as I can see it going down, but the knock-on effect for all of us. What is the cost of business? Very hard to get to the real center of. But Muzammil Sheikh is our tech guru, and I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good to talk about. This is Mira Business FM. It's the Morning Drive. We're going to be talking about the future of live streaming next.
Mira Business FM.